Hi everyone, Kesenya here with the new moon in Aquarius. Good to see you guys. Good to have everyone back watching this. And as always, leave your like and comment if you like what I'm doing. I'm reading all the comments and they usually help me through quite a turbulent period in my own life. Yeah, to begin with, with some sort of a lyrical confession this time. Being Capricorn sun, I can clearly feel how all the energy has shifted to Aquarius. And this new moon that we are celebrating on, what is it, February 11th, 12th. So it's going to be 11th for pretty much the whole world and 12th of February for India and Australia and everything, kind of like Far East. From counting from Europe, obviously, not when you leave there. And I can clearly feel that everything has moved, I wouldn't say it became easier, it just became very different. Because, being under the spotlight as a Capricorn for such a long period, like about 3 years, and I mean, not only people who are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, we all have Capricorn somewhere in our chart, same as we have somewhere Aquarius, right? It was just a very different vibe, and now it just changed. And kind of, I understand that it shifted for all of us, so different areas are now in spotlight. Obviously, Aquarius is darlings, Sun, Moon, Rising. You are now the stars. You are now the soloists in the back orchestra in which we are all performing, which is called Life on Earth. But it's been kind of like, it feels a bit that you understand that you were brought somewhere else. You still don't understand what the rules of the game are, how you are gonna orient yourself in this new reality. But nonetheless, it is exciting because I don't know, I think that I personally belong, and I think that many of you who are watching me belong to the type of people who like to work through change, who prefer things changing than things being in stagnation. And let me remind you, December 21, winter solstice, we had the royal conjunction, so-called Star of Bethlehem, or the royal conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which many people are calling kind of the dawning of the era of Aquarius. And now we're starting 2021, and we're having the moon in Aquarius, the first kind of like moon which highlights this particular sign. And God, everything is now in Aquarius. Let's talk about the celestial configurations first, shall we? So the moon again is happening February 11 or 12, depending where you are in the world. And the sky as such is empty because everything is in Aquarius. I will have a chart here for you because I'm recording. I'm not quite sure where it will fit in the video, so it's either here or here. I decided to start putting charts as such for you to see how it looks visually. Let me know if that's something you would welcome. Let me know if it helps. I personally think it helps because when I start mentioning, oh, this and this is there and there, this and this degree, it might be quite tricky to memorize and to have the bigger picture how it looks. But that's how it looks, or that's how it looks. I don't know where it is hanging yet. I want to stress 2 things here. Yes, first of all, absolutely everything is in Aquarius. So we have Saturn at Aquarius, we have Jupiter conjunct Venus in Aquarius, which is actually quite nice because Venus is nice. Venus symbolizes nice things, and Jupiter is expansion. So I think this is quite nice thing happening in the sky. We have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius as well, and we also have everything in Taurus. So we have Uranus in Taurus, Mars is in Taurus, and Lilith is at the last degrees of Taurus. And all those planets, although it is not really strict, the Taurus and Aquarius are still squaring each other. So there is still some challenging energy. You remember when we had the last full moon in Leo, we were talking that it was super challenging because all the planets were in opposition, square, square, square. And this one, it has kind of a nicer, less probably challenging vibe to it. but nonetheless, a lot of things are happening. Speaking of the stellium in Aquarius, so yes, absolutely everything is there. Let's quickly talk about all of them. Yeah, so during the full moon, or sorry, the new moon as such, Jupiter is going to be conjunct Venus, which is nice enough, to be honest. Because what? Venus is pleasures, love, and self-love, and pampering yourself, and taking care of yourself, taking care of your relationship, of your partner. Also, like, you know, all those financial things, so like money, abundance, and so on. And also like all the arts and crafts and beauty and creating beauty and singing and dancing and writing poetry and inspiration. And Jupiter is obviously expansion. So it might be the case that, I don't know, it will expand our desire to spend money if someone is lucky enough to have shops open. I mean, like in Ireland, it's all closed since October. So I need to say that there is no temptation really to go out and spend money. But anyway, I think that's probably the last kind of the only downside of it. The conjunction as such is quite nice. Mercury is retrograding, and Mercury is retrograding in Aquarius together with all this stellium. So for me, it feels like it was quite a nice thing, because as I said, we're not quite used to having stellium in Aquarius, not in Capricorn, where it was for the 3 years. So Mercury retrograde, it's all like, you know, Mercury is like intellect and communication, and it now has an internal focus. So as if it's giving us a chance, not even a chance, more like advising us to kind of look back, analyze, take it slow, trying to get used to the situation we are currently in. And so that's quite nice. But in Uranus, in Taurus, Mars is together with Uranus, yeah? And in my opinion, probably it's not as much challenging as it is just like a magic kick in the ass, if you know what I mean. So that Uranus and Mars, they're super active planets. Mars wants to act and Uranus wants to change, and all of them, they're like quickly, like start doing something, please, like, you know, start moving. And another thing is that this stellium in Aquarius, although it is present, those planets are clearly following the sun, because the new moon is happening at 23 degrees Aquarius. So it means that moon and sun would be conjunct at 23 degrees, but still the sun is in Aquarius. And so all the planets, they are kind of like in the shadow of the sun. You know what I mean? Like, you know, probably all those photos on, I don't know, on a sunny beach, when you take the photo and then you see how it looks and you can't even see your face because your face is all white because it reflects the light. And that's what is happening. Basically, all the planets become invisible. If you know astrology a little bit, you know what I'm talking about. The planets are invisible because the sun is so bright and they're too close to the sun. And it is believed that when the planets are invisible, they're actually not that active. So kind of their influence on Earth and on us living on Earth is basically blurred. It's either non-existent or it is very weak. But the interesting thing is that obviously on the 20th and after the 20th of February, when the sun moves to the next sign of Pisces, the stellium remains. And so it would be like the birth of all those planets. I love the imagery of astrology as such, because it's really beautiful imagery of this kind of rebirth of planets. So they were invisible, they were in the dark shadow, they were like in the other world, and then they reappear on the sky. We can see them again, they become visible, so they're being reborn. So I suppose after the 20th, although technically speaking, it has little to do with this particular moon, it's 10 days after this moon, but still it is something to look forward to, because like a lot of planets are going to be born in Aquarius depending on which house is Aquarius in your chart. And so I think that after the 20th we will get this kick. We would really feel it strong enough. But for this new moon, I guess what I really wanted to talk about is the way how it looks, because what I did, I made a chart for the time of the new moon on the 11th of February, as if it were the birth chart of a person. And you see how it looks when it is like this, where the ascendant is and how it is all positioned. And so you can see basically that all the planets are in the, well, if we're looking like this, so they're like in this hemisphere, they're in the right hemisphere. They're kind of in the hemisphere of fate. That's how it is called. If you don't know about it, that's an easy trick. You can kind of make your own natal chart and see how the planets are dispersed. If they're equally dispersed and they're kind of bits and pieces here, bits and pieces there, or if there is a very strict demarcation line. If all of your planets, pretty much most of them, are here, and the left hemisphere looking kind of around your ascendant, then around your ascendant, it would be the hemisphere of free will. It would mean that you were put into this earth having a free will. So you have a power to change your own life. And events in your life, they're mostly happening because you auction them, and that's what you're supposed to do. If all your planets are somewhere opposite your ascendant, that's the hemisphere of fate. I have the hemisphere of fate. I don't have any planets around my ascendant. All my planets are on this side, kind of opposing my ascendant, around my descendant. Yeah, let's put it this way. And I wouldn't say that I don't have a free will as such. I want to believe that I do. But in general, I noticed that I can plan whatever I want and strive to whatever I want. It all will work out kind of on its own. So for the most part, I just need to glide. I just need to have my belt on me and enjoy the ride. Because I might have lots of aspirations, and yes, basically things that I wanted to manifest when I was, let's say, 15, they got manifested when I was 30. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that it is happening in the blink of an eye. There are like events, there are things, and usually I just basically forget that I ever wanted something, and then it kind of comes into my life. So I wouldn't say that things are not happening. It's just that when you're working hard at achieving something, you will not necessarily see the result. You might see the result when the moment is right and when gods want you to have this result. So it is kind of, how to say, on the one hand, it is quite a comfortable journey on this lifetime, I would say, because you kind of understand, okay, I'm going to do my best and it's going to end up the way it's going to end up. Nothing really depends on me. So when things go south, at least you have someone to blame. You can say, I'm in no position of actioning anything. Basically, all my planets are in the hemisphere of fate. So I'm just like following, being in alignment with all those things, with the fate and such. And that's what has stricken me when I've done this chart, that everything is in the hemisphere of fate. And although this is not the chart of a newborn baby, although we might expect there going to be some people who have this chart, yeah, basically being born at the time of the moon, it's going to be GMT time. I think it's around 7:05 p.m. So it's like London time and Irish time, yeah, because we are like GMT 0. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be people with this chart, and they would be in the kind of like, they would be children of fate, you know. But in this one, it is the chart of this new moon. This is how the sky looks when we have this new moon. And I kind of took it as a very strong symptom of how we should have this new moon, of how we should experience it. It means that so much thing is happening. And you know what? Then when there is a stellium, it was believed in ancient times that this is like a council of planets, that planets gather together in one sign to discuss matters. And if you remember how councils are happening, how, for example, like, you know, when you have election, how the votes are counted, for example, when it is presidential election, yeah, or how votes are counted when it is a papal election, yeah, when the Pope, or the Roman Pope, is elected. It is all happening behind the closed doors, because all the people who have the right to vote, let's say, have contributed, but now it is time to kind of deliberate, to count the votes and to see what's happening. And for me, this is pretty much like the papal council happening in the sky, when all the planets, it just happened to be so They're in the sign where Sun is sitting now, so the planets are invisible and they're all together. They're so close together. So Venus was kind of, how to say, cancelling with everyone separately, because she was conjunct with Saturn a couple of days ago. Then on the 11th, she's conjunct with Jupiter. Then Mercury is kind of around this conjunction. And so they're kind of like talking to each other. And minor planets like Venus and Mercury, they're moving, you know, and Mercury is retrograding, so he's approaching Jupiter. And so they're in this commotion in relation to each other. So they're like, imagine they're like people, gods and goddesses, who are discussing what's it gonna be during this kind of closed council behind the curtain. And obviously, when gods are discussing, all we can do is just accept the fate of it. This is like, for me, the meaning of this hemisphere of fate. It is not really time for us to act. It is time to be vigilant. It is time to listen carefully. It is time to have your eyes peeled. It is time to align yourself with the invisible world, if you wish, with transcendental, with, like, you know, opening up, because we don't know what's the decision going to be. I mean, I'm talking metaphorical, obviously. I don't think that the planets are sitting and talking to each other, right? But I'm just continuing this very literal metaphor. Is that, like, you know, it is, I will continue the kind of the election metaphor, yeah? So all people can do when they have already put their votes there, all they can do is just wait. You can't really affect the course of things anymore, right? And you need to wait till the moment when you get the result. So kind of seeds have been sown and the casts have been thrown, you know? And it is just time kind of to sit down and wait when it is going to happen, and what would be the new redistribution of things after this, after all this stellium. And it's going to be the stellium is happening for a good while, but it is interesting still for me that the planets during this new moon in Aquarius, which obviously emphasizes this because it's a new moon is new beginning, it's this sowing of intentions, those kind of seeds of intentions that you want to plant. And so Aquarius, it will still have this stellium even after Sun moves to Pisces and stuff, but it will not have the Sun and it will not have the Moon. Now it still has the Sun, and Sun is important for us because Sun is ego, Sun is all of us. And Sun actually is not quite great in Aquarius either. It's not strong in Aquarius because Aquarius is society, and Sun is good in Leo. Leo is me. I'm a king, I'm a queen. It's like this royal predisposition. And Aquarius, it's more like, you know, it's a very social sign. It's the sign of multitude. You remember Beethoven's Last Symphony, which is written for Ode to Joy. This Ode to Joy, I think it's the text of Schiller. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And the first line is like kind of like unite the millions, like, you know, like millions of people kind of go out and hug each other, like, you know, something like, you know, embrace. I think embrace would be good, not a hug, kind of embrace each other, millions, you know. And for me, like, you know, this chorus, this choir which sings at the end of this symphony of Beethoven, like Ode to Joy, it is about, like, you know, it is very Aquarian in its nature. But Sun, it's like, what? No, I'm not gonna embrace anyone. Like, sorry, I'm on my own. Sun is not quite good in Aquarius, so, and the rest of the planets are kind of like ghosted out, and they're in the shadow of a Sun which is less than happy. You see what I mean? So there is their own dynamic in the sky, and it is invisible for us. It's like, again, this council behind the closed doors. So we can just wait. We can wait till the Sun moves to Pisces after the 20th, and the Moon obviously moves much earlier, and then we can see what's going to happen then. But so far, this has given us just to kind of, like, you know, Mercury retrograde is also there making it stronger, making it so much stronger, this retrograde, this internal focus. And so I suppose all we can do is just, yeah, relax and think back and think what we want to change. What is the change we want to see in our lives? Yes, there is Mars and Uranus there, but like, you know, I mean, it really depends on your personal constitution. But I don't see Mars and Uranus as bad planets. I know they're kind of, Mars is malefic, but I love action and I love change. So I suppose when you have this point of view, it's much easier for you. If not, then probably it's going to be much more challenging for you. But I feel that their voices, they kind of add up. They try to hurry. They're trying to say, we were so... The 2020 was basically, the whole 2020 was just one big retrograde of everything, because we were all locked at home for the most part, and we were given all the time in the world to reconsider things like, you know, relationships that we have, friendships that we have, our hobbies, our, like, you know, intentions, how we want to see our life, what's the priorities. We were constantly asked to reprioritize things. Is, like, you know, is traveling that important? Is success at work that important? What is more important? Like, you know, is health the most important thing? So there was like quite a bit of work with the 2020. And I think that Mars and Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is the sign of material success, of material gains. It's a material sign. And Mars and Uranus, they're like, okay, guys, we're quite sick of your transcendental meditations, you know. We need to act, we need to change something in this material realm, with our material physical bodies, with our reality in which we live. That's all Taurus. We want to have tangible things, tangible money. We want to have tangible relationship, not like angelic conversations, but a tangible relationship with a person made of flesh and blood. So I think that they give very necessary. They are probably like, you know, it's like debates of, I don't know, government in a position or something, like, you know, that all those planets in Aquarius who are like invisible, they're like blah blah blah, this and this and this. Jupiter with Venus are in full harmony. Mars is Mercury is retrograding, and there is the square aspect, which is a conflicting, challenging aspect from Mars and Uranus, who are saying, look, like, you know, just move, keep going. And yeah, what came to my mind is that, like, you know, Winston Churchill, he has this kind of there is a saying that he said that if you are moving through hell, keep going. And I think this is, it was obviously like in relation, I suppose, more like to politics, but I think it is a very, very smart thing to say in relation to basically how we journey across this life. Because yeah, if you are in hell, and I suppose we all are at the moment, bits and pieces, it's really challenging. I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's like hell, yeah, but for some people, definitely, like for people who lost jobs, who lost their close ones due to the virus and stuff. So keep going, that's all we can say. And I think that Mars and Uranus, they have the voice which is saying keep going, like, you know, welcome the change, like, you know, move somewhere. And so I suppose, especially after the 20th, when the planets are being reborn and we can start seeing the results of their council, the fruit of this dialogue, what they were talking about, we can see what is the conclusion, what is the agreement they've come to. And I think that then the voices of Mars and Uranus would be really welcome, because I think they would be this kind of necessary, like, you know, I mean, yes, sometimes not that nice when someone is bothering you and someone wants you to do things, but eventually it is kind of like for your own benefit, when you need to have this done, when you have to kind of finish your studies, write this diploma, or I don't know, just go, I don't know, start doing sport, you know. Very often it's those annoying voices, those are voices that want you to change, for you ultimately to be more comfortable in your own skin. And so I think that, yeah, basically what I'm taking is that we are now in the hands of fate. And so we can just wait. And for me, there is such a like unbelievable harmony, like, you know, this is music of spheres, in terms that it's happening in Aquarius, because the tarot meaning of Aquarius is very different from the zodiac sign, because the tarot that we have for Aquarius is like, you know, the star. And I'm using today the Ethereal Tarot, I don't remember how it's called. I will check for you when I do the reading. This Ethereal Tarot, which has like, you know, golden illumination, and they're very like Art Nouveau and very airy. So star, you see, she's so pretty. She has this lilac, very dreamy background. She's looking down in the water. Her feet is in the water. There are like stars around her. So what it means, what star means as such in tarot, star is the best card to get. It is guiding star. It is hope. It is alignment. It is angelic help. It is soulmate energy. It is the energy of your tribe supporting you. It is energy of your ancestors, of God supporting you. It is like, you know, it is very much about being in the state of alignment with yourself and with what's above, like, you know, state of alignment, state of faith, knowing when to surrender if needed, and having trust in the universe. So all the most beautiful things in the world, which I think, as an, if I may say so, is an esoteric community, right? So the esoteric community of people who are more interested in like tarot, astrology, and all those like, I don't know, Jungian archetype psychology. You see what I'm talking about? All those things that I suppose we are striving to achieve, all of us, which are extremely difficult to achieve, they're all symbolized by this card. It's beautiful. It is this, like, imagine you're alone in the dark forest and the path, and then there is a star of Bethlehem, which is showing you where the divine child is born, like, you know, which is showing you where the spirit is, where, like, you know, where your treasure is, like, you know, remember like when Jesus said, like, you know, seek treasures in heaven, not on earth. This is very much it. But it is also just like, you know, it is a promise of success in your life, in this material life, because you have all the alignment and all the trust and very strong intuition and the support of the angels. So this is such a beautiful card, and it is very emotional as well, because, okay, Aquarius is the air sign, but let's remember that Aquarius is associated with water through its name first, and then through the part of the sky where it is found. We were talking, when we were talking about Capricorn, that Capricorn is actually also very, very much like water sign, because it is in this and that part of the sky which is called in astronomy the water or the ocean. And who is there? Capricorn is there, the sea goat. Aquarius is there, the water bearer. Pisces are there, right? But also there are other constellations, like constellation of the whale or something, like, you know, some constellation for the river. So this is kind of the part of the sky which is called ocean or sea. And ocean, it is our subconscious, our emotions, you know. And here the girl, she is dipping her toes in the water, which means that she's aligned, she's connected, she's always connected to the source of her emotions, of her subconscious, and of her, like, you know, emotional kind of experiencing self. And I think that, at least myself, I more comprehend this moon in terms of the tarot card, because I know you like mythology. You always say that you're happy when I mention something mythological or something, like, you know, from the legends. And when I was thinking of it, like, you know, Aquarius, who is this? Like, you know, it's a water bearer. So it is a person who is dispersing drink at the feast of the king, usually, of some aristocrat. And at least in the kind of like what I know, definitely in the Norse mythology, so in old Icelandic sagas and also in Irish sagas, women are, especially in Norse, there is, in Icelandic, in Old Norse, there is even like a name kind of like for the woman, the kind of like, you know, this metaphorical name for the woman. It's something like the water bearer, like, you know, because it was the women were supposed to pour drink at the feast, during the dinner in the dining hall of a king. And this role was deeply symbolic. In Irish myths, goddesses are pouring drinks to kings, and goddesses of sovereignty and of kind of like, kingship, they're pouring drinks to candidates for the throne. And what it means is that basically, because symbolically, by pouring drink, the woman who is pouring a drink, she's pouring the destiny. She is giving to the hero the destiny that he wants. The same imagery is also in the dividing of food, in the dividing of meat. So, for example, in old Irish or old Norse society, when there is, let's say, some, I don't know, pig, it is really important who gets the best part, because this is kind of the portion of the hero, the best part of the animal, or the best kind of the fullest cup of the drink, or like the order in which drinks are poured. This is all related to the comprehension of destiny. So basically the destiny is understood as the portion that gods are pouring into your cup. And from this, I hope you understand what I mean. Yeah, that it's actually, even in many languages, the kind of word that is used to signify like fate or destiny. It's in Russian, for example, this one of the words that we are using. It literally means a portion. It literally means a portion. So it is a portion, like a portion of food, like this triangle of a cake, that you're getting. It is your portion. It is like, things that you were given by gods. And in this particular way, the function of the water bearer, especially of this woman who is pouring a drink, she is very much related to the archetype of the goddess of destiny. She's pouring destiny to people, she's giving destiny to people. And that's what Aquarius is. And I mean, I suppose I'm losing lots of things in astrological sense, but in tarot sense, this is very much what we have. The angelic support and the green light from gods. This is as if you were just, thirsty on the road, and then the goddess appeared and she poured you the drink of the cup, this kind of holy grail, which has rejuvenated, renovated your destiny. And this for me links in together, that all the planets are in the destiny of fate. They're all invisible, they are all talking to each other. And Aquarius, from the tarot perspective and from the mythological perspective, is very much about reportioning of destiny. You see what I mean? It's actually such a crucial time. It's really like reportioning of destiny. We all now have a chance to get more, a nicer cup or nicer drink, if, I suppose, we are worthy. That's all I can say. And let's just hope that we are. And yes, I guess this is absolutely exciting. Yes, we need to wait. We need to align ourselves. We need to have hope, to have faith, to surrender if needed. And after the 20th, we will see what's going to be happening. I suppose I'll see you at the end of this month with the next full moon. And we will see, and probably we will have something to discuss, how the energy would change when the planets would be born again, would become visible after the 20th. So far, yeah, slowly but surely, let's move to the reading. Let's do our reading for each sign. And yeah, let me know what you think. And let me know how you're going to celebrate the moon. So let's begin with the reading, shall we? Okay, because we are all here squirrel friends, I will share with you. So I just recorded 2-hour video of beautiful messages, and then when I've checked my camera, because I don't see myself, I see the zoom of the camera, it turns out that Mercury retrograde probably affected my camera, so I looked like a ghost. It was all overexposed, and basically all you would see if I would show that video was a white picture of of basically nothing, of like a ghost talking to you. So I'm shocked, because nice messages, there were nice messages that time. But look, we will do it again now. And I think that I fixed my camera. I seriously don't know what happened. I'm filming always with the same camera, and it's same weather and light conditions here in Ireland always. But yeah, it's just this time, I don't know. Let's blame Mercury retrograde for everything. But look, yeah, I'm ready to do it the second time. I roughly remember what I was talking about, but I'm gonna pick up new cards now, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So let's start with Aquarius, because Aquarius I did obviously first, so I remember the messages and I remember what cards were there for the first time. The rest I don't remember because I'm already doing it in a certain mood and I don't remember what I'm talking and what cards were those. So we do it again for the clarity of the experiment. But yeah, Aquarius, you're getting the original message from the first video, which looks absolutely horrendous. So yeah, Aquarius, look, go listen first of all to intro if you haven't done so, because I'm talking a lot about the stellium in Aquarius, how I interpret it, about what is the tarot card for Aquarius. But the cards that you got, I was laughing to myself, because if I was asked technically as a tarot reader to just, I don't know, pick up cards that would symbolize the new moon in Aquarius, I think I would pick up exactly those cards. So you got Four of Swords, you got the Magician, and you got the Moon. So Four of Swords is the suit of swords, suit of air, yeah, and so in general court cards of swords suit, they represent Aquarius, yeah, or Gemini or Libra. But we are all talking about you. Since the royal conjunction of 0 degrees Aquarius in December, we are all only about you guys. So Four of Swords is the card of the rest. We're usually having the knight, who is like even the statue of a knight who's having his sword close to his heart, you know. And as I was talking in my introduction, look, there is a stellium in Aquarius, but all the planets are invisible. They're invisible, they're like in their celestial council. And it's not time for us to act. It is time for us just to try to tune ourselves to this music of the spheres and to take as much rest as you can, especially since now all the energy is in your sign and it's going to become visible and being reborn at the end of the months. So take this time to look back, to rest, to meditate. And Mercury is retrograding, is Aquarius, right? So retrograde of Mercury, it's what? It's our thoughts, our intellect, our mental state. It is probably time to go back, to go inside, to fix what is inside of you through deep rest, through looking around, through pondering things, through purging what's been done and said. And that would be your mindset. And look what's happening. Four of Swords. And then the Magician. The Magician is the Magician because he knows how to deal with different means under his hand. He has everything at his disposition. So he has swords and pentacles and cups and a staff. So look what you have. That's what Mercury retrograde is. You should look back and try to figure out what have you achieved, what critical skills you have, what can be useful for you to achieve more things in the days to come after the 20th, when the planets in your sign become visible and some action would be needed, and the sentence would be pronounced, the sentence not in the macabre sense, but the sentence for all of us people on earth, how we are gonna deal with it. It is better to be prepared for this. And this Mercury retrograde and the invisibility of planets, it is like this period for us to just get ready, and especially for you, Aquarius. And also just to take responsibility. Look, childhood is over. After 2020, there is no excuse to say, oh, I don't know how to do it, or I'm not ready, or I'm not ready to take responsibility over my life, I don't decide anything. No, it is adulthood now, officially. And adults, they are creators. We don't need to listen to our parents who tell us what to do. We have the ability to create the lives that we want. That's what the Magician is about. The Magician is also very selfish in a way. Of course, Magician is helping others, But first and foremost, the magician gains all these magical powers through lots of self-work, work with yourself, of lots of time on your own, which is Four of Swords, because you need to gather energy to have it all straight. And then I suppose it is this good selfishness in a way that, yes, you help people, but first you help yourself. You gain all the knowledge you have to be able to create the life that you want, to be able to speak for yourself and achieve what you want. So think of what skills you might still need to acquire, of what you already have to have the life that you want, and don't be afraid to just accept it even on the mental state that, yes, I'm a creator of my life and I'm happy with this role. It is massive responsibility, but I'm happy for it, like, because I'm happy to be an adult. I'm happy to be responsible for my own life, for the life of people around me. And your last card is the Moon. What will help you to do so is intuition. Look how beautiful this card is. It's the intuition which helps us to see, like, you know, the invisible. As I said, all the planets are in your sign, but they're all invisible. So you can feel that there is a massive energy being accumulated, but you don't yet know what it is. And when we know that something is happening, but we can't see it and we don't understand what's happening, it's like, you know, again, it's very childish fear that shadows under the bed are monsters. As adults, we know that that's not true, but that's what the Moon is about. It is being afraid of things that we don't know what it is. And it is very logical. We're always afraid of the unknown. But the Moon, it is this dark night. It is uncertainty of the unknown. It is irrational anxiety. It is those monsters which are eating you alive. This might be the case for you because it's all very intense. It's just not clear what it is, what this intensity is about, and we don't know what to do yet because the decision is being made as we speak. So try not to become prey to those fears. What you should do is basically attune yourself to the Moon in its highest manifestation as the planet of intuition, of acceptance, of trusting in the fate which is about to be proclaimed for all of us. You see what I mean? So absolutely beautiful cards. And Moon is also very slow, right? Moon is also kind of, it's a feminine planet, so it's feminine archetype. It is like passive and slow and so on. So don't rush things. Things will get where they should get in due time. And be careful with, like, you know, those destructive thoughts that might attack you. It's all gonna be fine. You just need to rest a bit and to find solace, I suppose the word is, in the fact that we are all magicians of our lives, and now you're in the spotlight, and the great royal conjunction was in your sign. So it's the new dawning of the new era, and it's going to be your time. Next one is Pisces. For you, Pisces, it's happening in your 12th house. Beautiful. To be honest, I'm not surprised. Some of the cards that I'm seeing, those were the cards from your past reading. We are in safe hands. The spirit will talk roughly about the same, so don't worry that the first video is lost. Maybe, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? So maybe this time it's going to be even more accurate. Beautiful. Cool. Pisces. Okay, 12th house, yeah? You have stellium in your 12th house, which you will have for quite a bit. And 12th house is about, like, purging and cleansing, getting rid of the past, getting rid of the karmic debt, of things that no longer serve you, dissolution of old patterns, and so on. And the beauty, and that's the cards that you already had in your first reading. If I will be remembering parallels, I will be mentioning them. That's the Six of Wands. That's the card of the triumph. You see, there is a triumphant, unrealistically beautiful young man, I need to say, on this white horse. And what this card tells us in relation to the 12th house. Let's presume we have all won if we are watching this video and preparing this video, we're still alive. We have won the battle with 2020. But imagine you're the general on the battlefield after the victorious battle. Obviously, you are happy that you have won, but you look back and you praise your soldiers and other fighters, but you also look back and you see all the losses, all the price that you've paid. You lament your friends who have died in this battle. You lament the losses that probably your country has suffered during this battle, because there is not a single triumph which doesn't come into our life without payment, without a price. And I suppose in relation to the 12th house, that's exactly what it is. You should look back. It's Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. You should definitely look back, but more in the mental state. Mercury's thoughts, yeah? So look back and see what you've achieved and consider the prices you've paid for it, and be kind to yourself and praise yourself for everything you have won, everything you have achieved, even if those are the tiniest things, like, you know, praise yourself for those, and also acknowledge the losses that might have happened for you during this year. Like, you know, it's your birthday, yeah, it's your birthday next month if you're Pisces sun. So look back and for the year, like, you know, what have you achieved during this year of your life, not like calendar year, but from birthday to birthday, and see how you've changed and see all your triumphs and acknowledge them and praise yourself for them. Those would be a good kind of work during this Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. And the beautiful two other cards that came, okay, 5 of Cups and the Well. I'll talk about the Well last. Let's consider 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups is the fives, as I keep telling, is the challenging point in tarot. So you might feel frustrated, because we are all frustrated exactly for the reasons I was talking in the introduction, that all the planets are invisible. So you have this heavy energy in your 12th house, and at the same time at the same time they're all invisible. So you don't know yet what it means specifically for you. You can just lament everything you experienced and everything that you lost. So this is kind of the other side. Those two cards, they're like side of the same coin: triumph and losses and heavy prices that come with the triumph, you know. And this card always has a hope in it, the very Aquarian star-like hope, that there are 2 other cups behind your back, which means that nothing is lost. There is something new in the future. There are new experiences, new feelings. You just need not to be like a kid who's in the corner, like, leave me all alone, I want to cry. No, it's just you need to open your eyes and wipe your tears and look back and see, like, you know, that around you there are more possibilities than there is. And again, Pisces, you're sensitive, you're intuitive, you're very good at this. You got the Well. The Well, it's not a tarot card, it's an extra card in this particular deck, which was created by the artist of this deck as a kind of his signature and his understanding of the tarot. Let's have a look at it. So there is this lady who is sitting on the well. The well, it's a very powerful archetype of inspiration. In Celtic, in Irish mythology, there is this myth of the well of inspiration, which is in the other world, and it carries its waters infused with divine wisdom to this world, actually to River Boyne in Ireland. And every single particle and every animal in this river contains this divine essence. It's not happening often, only once in 7 years, as we know from ancient manuscripts. But the trick is that the well represents this something deeper, these waters of the source, of the subconscious. And this lady, look here, she has this pendulum, and there are like fumes. She reminds me of Delphic Pythia, you know, of this priestess of the cult of Apollo in the Delphic temple of Apollo in Greece, when she was in this divine trance, inhaling the fumes from the well and pronouncing the will of God, pronouncing the prophecies. And this is pretty much it. It again, same as for Aquarius, speaks of deep rest, even like trance in which you can get something. It might speak of very powerful downloads through your dreams, through information that you are not expecting to get, through sudden revelations, through poetry, through creative thinking, you know, that you might want to reconsider your life in a completely new way, reinvent your life, and you would be like this priestess, like a Pythia in your own kingdom, you know. You might start channeling, to be honest, soon as well, because you would be this channel from the well of the divine wisdom to the source of other people. It's just that, yeah, take those as two sides of the same coin. Your loss and disappointments and your triumphs, consider those in a deep meditative state, and then I'm sure you will be granted, to be honest, because that's what you're required to do. That's what you're definitely required to do during this moon. Next one is Aries. Aries, for you it is happening in your 11th house of friends and relationships and networks and expanding. Look, Venus is with Jupiter in your 11th house in Aquarius now. They're conjunct, and Venus is about like pleasures and all those things Venusian, and Jupiter is about expansion. So let's see the messages which we have for you. Anyway, it is okay. I seriously can't believe how this is happening, because like I'm taking only 3 cards out of what, 66, 76, 78, and you got exactly the same card again. Pisces got 1 card which was the same, and the others were very similar, and you got the same card as well. So 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups, it's a card of friendly reunion. It's a card of just exactly, look, Venus is pleasure with expanding Jupiter in your 11th house. Maybe it is actually time, if you can, to connect with some of your friends, and that would be the how to say, that would be the solution against, the devil, which you also got. The devil is Capricorn, but the devil, it's also the feeling of not having control, being trapped. In case you're in one of those countries which have full lockdown, I'm pretty much, we're all in the feeling like this card right now. And the remedy for this, it is the reconnection with friends. It is this expansion of your 11th house. Call your friends, call the relatives which are single, and have some, like, you know, look, we are not really speaking now about the vertical connection, because as I said, there is a celestial council happening now in the sky. All the planets are invisible, which means that symbolically they are deaf to our prayers. They are focused on each other. They are talking to each other behind the closed doors. So instead of vertical connections, we can expand horizontal connections to people next to us, with our peers, you know. So have a pajama party, I don't know, with your girlfriends, or go fishing with your guy friends. It doesn't matter. So it is about some good times with people in the set of like reunion, coming together of like-minded people, of like-minded people, of people who have sincere, very kind disposition to each other. And yes, you might feel trapped, and you might feel a little bit heavy still, like, you know, in the Capricornian energy, but nonetheless, the trick for this is that the trap is an illusion. You're never trapped, and you're never alone. And I think the topic of responsibility is also very, very pronounced during this moon. You got also the Empress, and the Empress is Venus, and Venus is now in your 11th house together with Jupiter. So it's like double energy of Venus. It's like double advice for you to indulge in all things Venusian. But also the Empress, she's the great mother. She has the full responsibility over herself and her children. So don't be afraid of taking more responsibility and more action in your relationship with the others, so that you might take care of the friends who you probably didn't text for quite a while. Invite them, show your compassion, show your interest in their lives, feel that you're still part of a large network. That's what Aquarius wants us to do. And that's what Venus wants us to do, who is now expanded by Jupiter, and they're now like Venus and Zeus, yeah, Jupiter and Zeus. So like Aphrodite and Zeus, they're together, the most kind of passionate king and the most beautiful and passionate queen. So it is about this generosity of nature, generosity, very fertile soul, if I might speak so. So you got two powerful remedies which are about like bringing your soul out for other people to enjoy. That's how the devil's trap would not have a chance, I'm telling you. Next one is Taurus, yeah, and for Tauruses, it is the stellium in Aquarius, it is your 10th house of career. But look, guys, I was talking about it in the introduction briefly, that in Taurus now we have Mars and Uranus, two very active planets who want change, who want to move, who want to act and to gain and to build and to destroy and to build again. And so I guess for you guys it is really intense, because those are like conversations between you and between the planets in you and between your 10th house of actually career, which is a Capricorn house, which is your fellow earth sign house, and which is very, very much kind of in alignment with what Taurus is about. And your ruler Venus is now with Jupiter in your oh, beautiful cards. The ruler of Taurus, Venus, is now with Jupiter in Aquarius, and although they're not visible yet, they're still together. And so Venus is, I'm sure, quite happy, because such a gentleman as Jupiter surely is taking good care of the lady, if you know what I mean. I didn't imply anything cheesy, to be honest, it just happened. Okay, let's move. Page of Cups is your first one. Yeah, Page of Cups, emotions, new beginnings in emotions. Look, yeah, if you want, let's discuss it from the point of view of your career, because the planets in you, they're very active, and they're kind of giving this magical kick in the butt for everything happening in Aquarius. They are in square, which is a kind of contrastive and very conflictual angle, but nonetheless they are how to say, I think it's more like, you know, it's more like a friend who's knocking on your door, like, okay, stop sitting in pajama and crying, let's go out, let's do things. So it might be sometimes uncomfortable, but it is for your benefit, if you know what I mean. Page of Cups, it's like a renovation of emotions, it's the new beginnings. So probably with this Uranian lightnings and sparks, you will get some new idea of how things might work well for you, might work better for you in the area of your work or of your relationship with work. It's also probably time to reconsider, yeah, Mercury is retrograding in your 10th house, reconsider your relationship with the others. In any way, it should be along the lines of cups, so of emotions. A page is a very useful emotion. It is maybe a very naive card. It is like open to maybe trustful to open-minded, not having boundaries. But sometimes we need this childlike attitude to ourselves and the other. Sometimes not being too serious or too strict. Play with a joke instead of scolding someone. And you're like having a promise of 10 of Pentacles, which Taurus would surely love. 10 of Pentacles, it is earth energy, yeah, so it is the card speaking about Taurus and Capricorn and Virgo, but probably about Taurus more than the others. So it is the card of abundance, but again, abundance through respect, because on this card there is always a dialogue between an old man and a young man. It is this passing of knowledge. It is, if it is about your 10th house, look, it is, although those are pentacles, it speaks that material gains, financial success, abundance, promotions, they're happening through this, through good attitude. Here the young man is listening to the old man. There is a dog. There is this friendship, you know, there is this vibe of camaraderie. So this might help you to keep going. And again, Aquarius as such is very social, yeah? It's not only me. It is more about the others. And always feeling like a bigger part like part of something bigger. And you also got Five of Swords. Five of Swords, it is actually the card, unlike Six of Wands, which is the card of victory and triumph. It is the card of victory for which the price was bigger than probably this victory costs. We see the situation after the battle. The enemies are leaving. This hero, he has collected all the swords from his opponents. But at the end, he's lonely and kind of pensive and tired. So before you do some things, before you start some battles or conflicts, sometimes it is necessary to stand your ground, but be aware that this might end up with a really more bitter than sweet feeling. And try to be more like those guys. Be like those guys. Aquarius is very social, so even if we speak of your 10th house as the house of career, it would be still now through different people. We moved from this stellium in Capricorn when it was more about like the vertical of power, the bossiness, the being like, you know, the in charge, you know, taking care of everything. So I would say that now it is more about the others. It is more about establishing feelings, establishing, like Aquarius is tribes, you know, like-minded people connecting with this. Maybe you will even get some new work and new work projects through expanding your networks with the others, right? Okay, next one is Gemini. Look, Gemini, okay. The new moon in Aquarius is happening in your fellow air sign. And interestingly enough, Mercury retrograde is trining the North Node in Gemini, yeah? So North Node, it is our collective node of destiny. Oh, that's beautiful. Aquarius got 2 major arcana, and you also got 2 major arcana in your reading. The more major arcana is in the reading, the more pivotal, the more strong it would be for the person. So it would be a strong one for you, because it was the realm of earth energy with Capricorn and Taurus, but it shifted at the end of 2020. So now everything is in Aquarius, and North Node is in Gemini. So there is this air, there is this cold breeze, you know, refreshing. It's all about like new ways of doing things. And you got 8 of Wands, and that's very interesting, because 8 of Wands, although it's Wands is the suit of fire, what this card classically has are 8 wands flying in the air. So it is again about air movement. It is about like shooting an arrow or shooting this stick or whatever it's called. There is again lots of movement and lots of air. You also got Judgment and the Artist. Look how airy both of those cards are, yeah? So I think it's going to be a dynamic moon for you, and a very pivotal moon, very charged moon for you, Gemini. But again, as I said, maybe it's not time to act as yet, but it is definitely a good time for like quick thinking and for coming up with new ideas. Maybe actually you will have lots of new ideas. Because look, Uranus is now in your 12th house of purging and cleansing and renovating and refurbishing and new patterns and getting rid of old patterns. So I would say probably that I would relate this to that. It's like Uranus is so purifying and electrifying. So like and the card of Uranus is Tower. And you know, Tower, it is this, everything is collapsing, there is like, everything is on fire. So when you have Uranus in your 12th house, it is such a massive renovation, and all the bridges are burned. And now with this new moon, new beginnings, new intentions, you are getting this kind of kick to move, to start thinking. You might think very quickly, you might get absolutely new crazy ideas. The moon is happening in your 9th house. It's happening in your 9th house of higher learning. 9th house is Sagittarius house. So it is the house of higher learning, of philosophy, of like religious hierarchy, and so on and so on. So so maybe you will reconsider something along those lines. Maybe you will get like some new hobbies, some new ideas, some new learning. Maybe you will enroll in some class, in some astrology class, or I don't know. And things will start clicking quickly, at least in your head. This is such an active card. It's like when everything is moving and glowing. And the artist, it's another artist. It is not a tarot card, it's an extra card in this deck, which the artist has added. It has added, the artist has added 2 cards, the Well of Inspiration and the Artist. And I think that the artist, it reminds me of the Magician card in a way, because every artist is a magician, but also it's an observer, and it is a transformer card, because an artist, he sees this reality and then he creatively reworks this reality into the work of art, you know, using absolutely innovative methods, you know. So artist, it is a thinker, a very bold person. So, and the North Node, the node of collective destiny, is now in Gemini, and Gemini is in general about all those innovations, like online world, communication, in online interactions, all those mercurial things. Mercury is retrograde and Mercury is ruling you. So it is time with the Mercury retrograde to kind of, like, you know, what artist is doing. He sees the world and then he goes to ponder how he can transform this world and make this world be part of a work of art. So that's pretty much what you need to do. With the Mercury retrograde, you are more like an observer of things around you, but it's also through deep understanding of how you can make it work for you, of how things around you might serve you, so that you might create your work of art. Like, you know, in general, I'm totally up to you guys trying something creative. Like, you know, maybe some new thoughts would come to you when you go to some online or physical, if it's possible, exhibition, or to a theater play, or you read some poetry. You see what I mean? And then the Judgment. The Judgment, it's rebirth. You see, like, you know, the Judgment, it's like when the seals are removed. It's from the Revelation of Saint John, and people wake up in their tombs, you know, and here is the soul of a woman after the Judgment Day. She's ascending to heaven. Look how much air is here, like clouds and air. It's so airy, it's so beautiful, and it is like, it is about new life. So as artist creates new life in the work of art, you are now creating also a new life. Judgment, it is about a choice. It is about certain choices, of course, but it is also about total renovation, because the day of judgment, it's when the souls will be taken to heaven for eternal life. So you might feel very much renewed, and I'm sure that you will, because North Node is still in your sign, and you're still working with this energy. And oh, look at the bottom of the deck, after I've done the reading for you, is actually the Magician as well, same as it was for Aquarius. So magic is in the air for air signs. Magic is in the air, full stop. Magic's in the air signs, yeah. I guess we all need to reinvent ourselves now. But I guess for air signs, it's going to be really like hard work, because you are now kind of responsible. It is your energy. You're now channeling this energy. And it is absolutely glorious that it's like Gemini. It's like you're, like, you know, you're in the stuffy room and you open the window and the fresh breeze is coming. It's totally beautiful. Next one in Cancer. For you, Cancer, it's happening in your 8th house. 8th house is a scorpionic house of occult and hidden and oh, beautiful. Okay, of occult and hidden and transformation and metamorphosis. So look what you have. You got 5 of Swords, surrounded by Justice and the Ace of Cups, and that's all very interesting. Because look, you are obviously very sensitive, and it is the new moon is happening in the in your 8th house of what you call it, yeah, of the occult, of hidden. You and the Mercury is retrograde there, so you might be tempted to look back at all those things that were hidden or concealed, of all those wounds that were not really worked through. And you know, Scorpio, he has a tail with this poisonous sting, so those wounds, they might get like swollen again. All those disappointments of how, like, you know, you thought that you won, but in fact you've lost. And the feeling of being lonely, misunderstood, how to say, misunderstood, kind of left without people who would be able to share with you. And this is all totally an illusion, because 5 is the card of challenge, but at the same time it is also the card of challenge which is pretty much in your head, you know. There are easier solutions to problems that it might seem, and the solution is a Cancerian one, yeah. Ace of Cups, so like total emotional renovation. New moon, new beginnings, yeah, you're getting the Ace. It's a new beginnings in love, new beginnings in emotions, but at the same time, look how beautiful this card is with 2 lotuses. Lotus, you know, in Hinduism and in yoga is the kind of symbol of the crown chakra. So you might find your peace, not kind of beating yourself up for the mistakes that you've done, but more like in looking hopeful towards the future, you know, and trying to basically rejuvenate under the influence of this new moon your emotional life, and trying to reconcile with yourself. Ace of Cups, it's an extremely noble card. The vibe of this card, it's like Christ love. It's unconditional love. It's divine forgiveness, divine understanding. If there's something you need to do, please go ahead. But in any way, it's an eighth house. It's this kind of, sometimes can be in a comfortable house to have a transit in, and there is a stellium there. So big transformation is coming, but at the same time, don't be too harsh on yourself, like, you know, with the 5 of Swords. And 5 of Swords is the suit of air, so that's clearly how Aquarius is going to play for you. But at the same time, you have an antidote. You have an antidote. That's this Cancerian way of approaching things. With, you are naturally very hopeful. You are naturally optimistic. So that's the natural reply that you should have. And then you're getting Justice, and Justice is Libra, and justice always comes when justice is going to be served. And in relation to this, I want to remember, if you haven't watched the introduction, what I was talking about is that because of the proximity to the sun, all the planets in Aquarius are invisible, and it means that planets, gods, they're kind of deliberating behind the closed curtains what our destiny is going to be, and we can just wait, and we can feel very uncomfortable, but all we should do is just wait for the decision to be announced, and there is nothing we can do. Our fates will be reinvented after the 20th. And for you, it is such a comforting promise that justice will be served, that you would get impartially and objectively exactly what you deserve, things that you're meant to achieve, because there is the owl, the symbol of Athena Palace, the goddess of wisdom, yeah, and there is justice herself, like Fortuna, you know, the medieval goddess of Fortuna. She's blind, you know, because she's impartial. You remember the song from Carmina Burana or Fortuna. Listen to it for the kick in the morning. It will kind of, I think it will wipe your blues away. But there is lots of comfort. There is Cancer. There is a comfort of spiritual rejuvenation. There is a comfort. There is a comfort of justice being served for you as a result of this probably turbulent time, and also possibly a massive transformation, because you know it's in your 8th house, Ace of Cups. Think of the ways of the water. Water is caressing sharp stones, sharp pieces of glass in the beach, making them soft. But work of water is a slow work. You see what I mean? It's a slow work. And we all should take it one step at a time. We are now in this big river which is flowing, and we just need to try to survive in this flow for as long as we can. In the meantime, I'm starting doing the reading for Leo. Leo, for you, it's your 7th house of romance and romantic partnerships and stuff. Oh, how interesting. Okay, you got Queen of Cups, and you got the Hierophant, and you got the 7 of Cups. How to say, Queen of Cups is actually a nice card to get in relation to the 7th house, because Queen of Cups, she might be Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer, but it might just mean absolute kind of like harmony, the feminine yin principle of harmony, of divine mother, divine wife. I think in case you are in the relationship, because Venus is together with Jupiter, very romantically conversing in your 7th house in Aquarius, I think it would be a nice kind of time of maybe expansion of your romantic relationship, seeing them with the Uranus squaring it through a different perspective, and maybe experimenting a bit, maybe doing some adventurous things with your partners, go to some interesting place, travel a bit, go to some restaurant or cook something together, like, you know, kind of excitement of being together, and very harmonious relationship with the others. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, like, we're not all of us are in the romantic relationship. If it's not about the romance, 7th house in a broad sense is partnerships in general. It may be your work partners, it can be just, I don't know, whatever partners you associate with this house. Might be your friends as well, I don't know. 11th house is the house of friends and networks, but I think 7th as well, maybe less so. It's more the house of marriage and romance, but nonetheless, look, Mercury is retrograde as well there in your 7th house. And I think, you see, she has here like a pool, like a small bowl with water. She's probably going to discard it. This water, it's all the emotions, experiences, some of them good, some of them bad, all the things that she has taken. It's just a handful, just a cup to take with her. She's holding it close to her heart. And this one she doesn't need anymore. So it's again about making choices, about your judgment of what needs to be taken with you and what needs to be discarded, you know. But look how she's sure in herself. She's such a beautiful mermaid with green hair, absolutely gorgeous. And she's very, very, very happy. She's very certain. Her face is in full satisfaction. So with partners or not, with the Venus being in your 7th house, there is in general this atmosphere of love and comfort around you. There is also like 7 of Cups, yeah? So Venus being expanded, Venus is pleasures, Venus is like money and all those things. And 7 of Cups, it's the card which is like a caution for us not to expand ourselves too much, seeing different opportunities. It might be the case that it is the case for all of us, that now that the energy has changed to air signs, it's just going to be a totally new game for all of us, and clearly all of us at some point would get new opportunities, more like of a new of more like of new choices to be made, because it's a new reality we're starting after all. With it's happening in your 7th house, maybe it is kind of a Tinder like situation when you get lots of people and lots of choices and you don't know what to choose. So just be careful with it. Be careful not to choose with the mask on your face. So you need really to have very clear picture. And 7 of Cups is the card of illusions. There is no clear picture. So don't start any relationship or so, because Venus was also conjunct with Saturn a couple of days ago, and that's a bad influence to start relationships. So have a look, but don't choose yet, not until the end of the month when all the plans become visible, and so we get more certainty in what's going on. Many signs already, by the way, got cards with the meaning of uncertainty and so on. And the last card is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is Taurus. So let's count. Your 1st house is Leo. Cancer is your 12th house. Gemini is your 11th house. And Taurus is your 10th house. So Taurus is your 10th house of career. And in your career house, there is Mars and Uranus, who are like, let's do things, you know. And check what's going on there. Maybe when the planets become visible again, so when they're reborn, you would be able to maybe make some choices in relation to career. Maybe there are some too many choices now, some too many opportunities, you don't know exactly where to go, but the Hierophant is here for you. The Hierophant is actually very strict, hence it's Taurus. Hierophant, it is traditional learning, traditional institutions. It's like university learning. It is about being part of something bigger, being part maybe of, I don't know, professional union, you know. In a way, when we think of it, it is, yeah, it is more like Capricorn than like Aquarius, because it is about like hierarchies and mutual respect and this, but at the same time it is still about being part of something bigger. And I think for many people it's quite a comfortable thing to do. It is not a democratic tribe, like it's not a hippie tribe. It is, yeah, it is a hierarchy, hence the Hierophant is the Pope, so it's like a church, you know. But at the same time, not to lose connection with the reality, we sometimes need those structuring relationship with other people. And again, as a reminder, with Mercury being retrograde, be careful about signing anything and becoming part of any institutionalized cult or something. But in general, I think you're good because you have harmony inside of you. And in case not with your partner, go and just pamper yourself. Like, see what I mean? Just pamper yourself and have a nice time watching your favorite movie or something. So next one is Virgo. Virgo, for you, the moon is happening in the 6th house. So it's happening in the house which is in the collective Virgo house. It is, you know what to do. You know what to do, girl. And this is, as you know, for those who need the reminder, this is the house of health, of routine, of work, and of our everyday things. How interesting. Okay, we begin with 10 of Swords. Okay, don't get scared, yeah? This card, why it is so, why there is a man pierced with 10 swords, because it's the end of the cycle, yeah. Swords is a difficult, challenging suit of tarot, and we take the tarot suit as a journey from 2 to 10. 10 is a completion. It's a completion of the cycle. It's a completion of some task. So obviously by this time, when the energy moved from Capricorn to Aquarius, to air sign, And Virgos, although there were not that many transits in Virgo, still as a fellow earth sign, Virgos were getting the heavy portion of the earth energy from all the planets in Capricorn and in Taurus. And now it's moved. So it is the end of the cycle. Yes, you might feel extremely tired. Yes, you might feel challenged and absolutely devastated by the choices you've made, by everything you needed to go through. But it is a good card. It is the end of the cycle. So you have suffered your portion. It means no more. And the card you get next to it is Nine of Cups, fulfillment of wishes. I say no more because well, I don't know. I will give my own, like, you know, story. I'm a Virgo rising, yeah, and I was very sick since June 2020. It was like excruciating pains all the time, and I'm just telling this just to show how this card, the 10, should be taken. That finally, when the energy harmonizes in your 6th house of health or of everyday life or of all those like devil in details thing, it is over. It is kind of there. No more will be given, at least for now. Give us some rest. And the Nine of Cups is fulfillment of wishes. So you've gone through hell, you've gone through this very challenging situations, and then you are in the Nine of Cups. You know, you have grown through it. You have gained something through it. And the Nine of Cups, yeah, it is just fulfillment of wishes. This guy, he's super happy, he's so secure. He's happy that there is such lots of opportunities, lots of potential to be explored now. You've gone through your excruciating cycle of challenges, you know. Now it is just time to rest, to relax. This man, I think all the Virgos would appreciate it. He looks like a very secure man. He looks like a well-respected man. He knows how to deal with his troubles. He knows how to make his routine work in his favor. And you also got an Emperor. Emperor, it's actually Aries. Yeah, so yeah, if you can see, there are those like heads of ram here. So Emperor is here for us to kind of say, okay, this is over. This 6th house, it's also the house of victimhood. So feeling like a victim to circumstances, it is over. You are being reborn, and now you can be an emperor. New moon is new beginnings, so it is a better opportunity to fix your health, to try something new health routine, new daily routine, new daily tasks, you know, to incorporate something new which would ultimately serve to your own benefit, which would bring you fulfillment of wishes, which will make you feel like an emperor of your own life, which would, instead of feeling like a victim, it is also the house of like serving. It's the house of slavery in the very lower meanings of this house. This is gone. You've probably, it is time around this new moon to make some decisions which will allow you to move forward, to take full responsibility of how your day-to-day life is looking, how your work routine is looking, how your health routine is looking. And you're in full control of that, like, you know, like this emperor who's holding this orb of the emperor symbolizes the world. So you know what, watch the introduction, and if not, I don't know, for some reason what I want you to watch the first reading for the Aquarius, because I think I was talking about it there, that Aquarius got a magician, which is also about control of creating your own kingdom. That's what the king is doing. King is a politician, and a good, we are not talking about the bad kings who are just sitting on the throne for 20 years without contributing to the benefit of the nation. We're talking about the archetype of the king, which is a rightful king, who is building his kingdom and supporting the balance inside this kingdom and supporting the subjects who live in this kingdom. So it is an extremely powerful, creative card for you, Virgo, to take responsibility finally of your own life. So there are no more excuses. It's now really serious, and we are now really invited in this new Aquarius situation to be more responsible for ourselves and the others. Okay, who is next? Next after Virgo is Libra, and for you, Libra, it's your 5th house of romance and crown chakra and creative expressiveness and stuff. So let's see what you got. Look what you got. You got King of Wands and Queen of Wands. You got a couple in the house of romance. And you got 9 of Pentacles. You also got, same as Gemini got, you also got very powerful combination of cards, because the energy has shifted to the air. So there is a stellium in Aquarius in the air sign. There is the North Node of collective destiny in Gemini. So you are really now taking responsibility for all of us. Like, you are channeling air energy for the benefit of all of us. If before with the stellium in Capricorn and other earth signs needed to kind of channel and harmonize this earth energy, now it's all about the air energy. So you can actually benefit a lot. Venus is together with Jupiter in the 5th house in Aquarius. Mercury is going retrograde. So in case you are in romantic partnership between Queen of Wands and King of Wands, this is a promise of a very harmonious weekend you might have. Like, I mean, the new moon is happening, what, Thursday, Friday, depending on where you are in the world. So it is very close to weekend. Maybe it is time to have some very passionate weekend, because Wands are very passionate. Wands, it's fire suit. So it is about something fantastic, like, you know, some new spark in your relationship might come. And in case you are not there, in case it's more about the abstract meanings, I mean, the whole world is the marriage of contradicting principles of feminine and masculine. So in case you want to manifest a romantic partner, this might be the case to write an intention, but somehow I don't have the feeling. I have the feeling from those cards of total benefit, of not a benefit, of total harmony, that you are comfortable where you are. And you also got the 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles always portrays a solitary woman in the garden. It is 9 of Pentacles. It is time to collect harvest. It is about material abundance, serendipity, very comfort, like material comfort, you know, feeling beautiful, feeling healthy, feeling rejuvenated, having money. This is a very powerful promise of what this new moon might bring for you, maybe some tangible results. And in general, especially I love it in this deck, the garden, it is actually a vineyard. And vineyard, it is a very powerful biblical symbol as well. Yeah, because wine and grapes, they are the symbols of spirituality. And you know, there is this proverb from the epoch of enlightenment, I think it's probably Voltaire said it, if I'm not mistaken, that kind of your task is to take care of your garden, and your garden is yourself, it is your intellect, it is your soul. So take care of yourself. I mean, try to reach this harmony either in the relationship or in relationship with your children, also 5th house, or 5th house is the house of creative expression. And Wands is the fire suit, the suit of creativity. So you might get kind of lots of desires, so to speak, to express yourself, to create something, to come up with a new idea, and to take care of your own garden, you know, and to see results, to see fruit blossoming. Fruits are not blossoming, fruits appearing in this garden under the bright sun, you know. Like, when you look at those 3 cards together, look very deep, look at how harmonious this picture looks. It's like mother queen, father king, and the beautiful daughter princess in the garden. The meaning of those 3 cards, like a fairy tale. And I suppose that's not, I shouldn't be mistaken, because fifth house, it is kind of a fairy tale house. It's not like 8th house of transformation, or like 10th house of career, or 6th even house of like health, responsibility, all those boring, mundane issues. It is about love. It is about creativity. It's the house, the Venusian house, like, you know, the fifth house of beautiful things, of arts, crafts, of fantasy, of imagination. So in case, Libras, you are getting an imaginative kick because of this stellium, because of the Venus. Venus is ruling Libra. So Venus is now with Jupiter expanding in your fifth house of love and creativity. So it is expansion of fantasy. And to be honest, I wouldn't blame you if you have chosen for this new moon a sort of escapism. Because I was talking in the introduction that all those planets in the stellium are now invisible because of their proximity to the sun. They will be born after the 20th of February when the sun moves to Pisces. But before, we can't do anything. We don't see those planets. They're just there. They're in their own council. And what we can do is probably even escape in the fairy tale, escape this reality, go into the fantasy world, escape in the imagination world. You know, like Tolkien, he was so shocked by the Second World War that he started developing all this Hobbit story. Many people, many creative people escape in the fairy tale, but not escape like lunatics or drug addicts, you know, escape in a productive way. When fairy tale, fantasy, imagination helps you to make peace with the life, with the world around you, and with your reality. Next one is Scorpio. And for you, Scorpio, it is your 4th house of... It is your 4th house of household, of siblings, of your family, of the house of the house. And I need to say, Scorpio, for you, the advice is to rest. Take things really slowly. You might be emotional. You might be sometimes poisonous. You might have some poisonous sting there behind you that you want to prick other people. Don't do it. You got 4 of Swords. The card of the resting knight. You got King of Swords. You got Temperance. Beautiful card with this illumination of the angelic wings of the Temperance. 4 of Swords and King of Swords, both cards can mean Aquarius, Aquarian energy. 4 of Swords means rest and nothing more. Like deep rest. It is not a mistake that there is not only a person sleeping, but usually it depicts the tomb of the night. You know, in medieval cathedrals, you go on the tombs of the coffins of famous knights and kings. There is this statue lying on top of the coffin. That's what it is. So it is rest, deep meditative trance-like rest, which can be compared symbolically to death, in sense of not dying, but basically being absolutely impenetrable to circumstances of life. So it is selfish card because it is this deep focus when you're looking inwards. You know, there is, if you haven't read it, there is this Austrian, I think it's Austrian poet Rilke, and he has this poem which is called Orpheus, Eurydice, and Hermes. It is about the smith when Orpheus was trying to get his wife Eurydice from the Hades, from the hell. You know, he failed. But there are like, the description of Eurydice in this Rilke's poem is absolutely magnificent, because that's what he's trying to describe, the soul which is dead for everything which is happening in the world. So her husband wants to bring her back on the surface, but she's close to all of this. She doesn't have sex anymore, sex in terms of gender, yeah? Like, she doesn't know if she's a man or a woman. She's a soul. She's in totally new state of how it's described that she has closed like the petals of the flower. Her gaze is turned inwards. She doesn't care about anything else. This man, who is he? She's asking actually in this poem, who is he? She doesn't know that it's her husband, because death, especially for a romantic poet like Rilke was, it is this state of being close and fixated on yourself, taking care of yourself, looking inwards, and nothing else matters. And that's what this card is about. It is a death-like state of not caring about anything and anyone, only about your own self and your own well-being. The King of Swords can mean Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini, probably Aquarius, because the new moon is in Aquarius. It is the most cold-hearted and clear-headed king. He is the king of metamorphosis. His symbol is the butterfly. His symbol is also the bird. Here he has a raven. And he is so secure. Look how he's holding his sword. He is very secure. He has solved all his problems, all his mental hooks and issues. He is so clear in his head, and especially in relation to Temperance. Temperance, it's a slow card. It's a Sagittarius card, so it's a card of philosophy, of philosophical approach, of moderate approach. And Temperance is telling us that there is an alchemical transformation happening, and we cannot speed up this process. Temperance is about step by step, no rush, take your time, think twice before you cut, think twice before you do. It is very much the card of going with the flow. Whatever you do, the transformation is coming. It's the card of alchemy, it's the card of philosophical stone. But you don't need to do anything. This whatever it was, like lead or something, it will become gold in this furnace. You don't need to do anything. You just need to let it be, and you just need to make the process happen. And so that's all you need to do, pretty much. So try to achieve the state of this king, to be very clear-headed. It is happening in your house of your relationships. And because of this stellium, and because it is squaring Uranus and Mars in Taurus, it can be emotions. They can be challenging moments. But in general, we need to strive for harmony. All of us during this new moon need to strive for harmony. And for Scorpio, for you to do so, to achieve harmony in your house, it is really to kind of be really patient, to really be more focused on yourself, not to stir any conflict or anything, Sagittarius, for you it's happening in the 3rd house. It is Gemini house. It is the house of communication, of probably online world, transformation, not transformation, advertising, speaking up, yeah, so everything related to the throat. Oh, pretty cool. So look, you got 3 of Cups. Many signs got today 3 of Cups. You got the Moon, and you got Knight of Cups. So slowly, to repeat myself, there is a big stellium now in Aquarius, but all the planets are invisible because of the sun, and they're going to be born after the 20th, when the sun will move to Pisces. And so lots of things are happening, but we are not quite sure what exactly is happening, because we cannot, as is believed, feel this energy yet. And the moon might speak to this. Aquarius, by the way, also got this card, the moon. And the moon is the moon, yeah, we are celebrating the new moon, but the beautiful moon, it is a caution not to really become prey to irrational fears, anxieties, feelings that something is happening but you don't know what. It is just a sign to go with the flow. The moon is the moon, but the moon in tarot, it's also the High Priestess, and High Priestess, it's a very cold female archetype. She is detached, she knows more, and she knows when it is time to act and when it is time to be patient. And now it is time for all of us to be patient, because we can't really act. It's a very quiet moon. It's a moon more like to think. Aquarius is air, so thinking, and to go to the understanding of the world more like through intuition and intuitive means, not through intellectual means, not through action. When it is about communication and words and so on, I feel that you might find solace in all things that we relate to the moon. Those can be creative things, poetry or beautiful novels or art in general. Probably like, yeah, more like verbal art, yeah, because it's the house of communication. It might be expressing yourself through words, starting a diary. Going through a diary, it's a very moon-like activity, you know, writing down how you feel instead of running around and sharing with the others. Keep it close to yourself, you know. This moon is quite about yourself, because also Mercury is retrograde. Mercury retrograde is about looking inwards and having inner dialogue rather than having dialogue with the others. So yeah, I like this girl. Look, she's so quiet, she's so dreamy, she's bathed in this light of the moon and starry night. She's like stargazing again, like, you know, and writing in your diary of what stars you have seen, something like this, very dreamy moon. And the other two cards that you got, Three of Cups and Knight of Cups. This is all about emotions. Three of Cups is the reunion with friends, so it might be a good idea to, I don't know, also speaking of words and communication, to call your friends, to invite your friends to chill out together if that's allowed, to meet people who are like-minded and to exchange words, to have like soul-to-soul conversation with someone. What I said, that it is selfish in a way, because I don't think that I'm contradicting to myself. Remember what I said. I mean that if there are conversations with the others, those are meant to be like deep conversations, not empty talks, but the conversation that you would have with your diary, or the conversation you would have with yourself. It is a good time, I think, for psychoanalysis as well, if you would like to consult I don't know, although like the Three of Cups is the card of friends reunion, so those supposed to be friends, but sometimes our friends are like our psychologists, you know, so we can reach out to them and have a conversation with them and find some solution in those. But in general, it's such a beautiful harmonious moon, because there is this moon, very dreamy, very creative, poetic, with Three of Cups, the reunion among friends, and with the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups is the most romantic, most pure, most noble knight of the whole tarot. He's the knight of the round table, the knight of the Holy Grail, you know, and he is extremely sincere. So his knights are all about actions, so his actions, they're in the realm of feelings. They're not in the realm of achieving something. It is act from the place of feeling, and harmonize your feelings. And those are weird cards coming for the third house, but how the only way I can think of them is that you harmonize through words, you know. You harmonize through words, through probably a diary, through writing a letter to yourself, which you will open in 15 years. That actually might be an interesting experiment. I've never done that, but I might. That would be interesting. But I'm a Capricorn sun. I'll see what's happening for Capricorn. Capricorn, for us, it's happening in the second house of money, and also self-value, and how, you know, first house, it is ascendant, so it is like, you know, what you are inside, it is your personality, and second house is how you materially shown into this world. It is the house of Taurus. See? Cool. The Empress is Venus. Venus is now in Aquarius together with Jupiter, so Venus is expanded, Venus is pampered, and Venus is also responsible not only for love but for money, so it's nice to have Venus in your second house. But there will be a Venus retrograde in Capricorn soon. I don't remember when, but the Venus retrograde would be in Capricorn. So for Capricorn, I think this whole year is very much under the kind of symbol of Venus, and I'm not surprised that the Empress has come. So after this whole turbulence and whirlpool of the past 3 years with the stellium in Capricorn, it is finally time to dig in more into the feminine archetype, because whether we want it or not, when we are under such pressure as Capricorns used to be, you more embody the masculine archetype. You need to achieve, you need to be aggressive, you need to protect yourself. Now it's time to relax, to let it go. You can be like a beautiful princess in your garden with all those flowers, in the abundance of beauty, love, nature. It's all about all those tiny things like doing face masks and taking care of yourself, taking care of your children, taking care of your friends, of yourself, being relaxed, being passive if not asked otherwise, being protective, being kind and tender and quiet sometimes. And I think that's all what we need. For me, it's just this Venus, it is like a promise of some very comfortable rest, as if it's a hug that your mom would give you, like, you know, or that your sister would give you. It is this fairy godmother energy, like, you know, and that's nice enough. And things will start changing slowly, because there is the Hanged Man. Hanged Man is actually delays. And I understand that from the point of view that planets are invisible, there is not much action. Second house, it is kind of the house of financial gains, so we probably need to do something. But in general, it is also, there might be delays with this, but in general, the Hanged Man, it's also the card of like sacrifice and the courage of realizing new things through self-sacrifice, of changing your perspective, changing your point of view. So to be honest, with this, with Venus, with this card, it might mean a total self-reevaluation. It's something like, why am I stuck in this relationship? I'm worth so much more. Why am I stuck in this job? I want different things. I don't want to be like the lowest manager. I'm actually talented, I'm creative. I'm gonna write to this company and ask if they want to hire me, you know. It might be a total change of how you self-value yourself, which is so important. And then you got the Eight of Wands, and Eight of Wands, those are wands, creativity, flying in the air. Things will start moving, so there can be a minor delay, but after you change your perspective on yourself, things will start moving with the speed of light, and those would be very creative things, and things that will bring you lots of opportunities, you know, because when you cast 8 sticks, there is a big chance that one of them will hit the goal. So that's what it is about. But in general, yeah, so pamper yourself with the Venus and Jupiter in your second house, but also use this new moon to re-evaluate yourself. Decide with yourself, what is your true value? What is your main feature? Why do you value yourself? What are your strong points? What do you deserve? It is finally time of sitting like a queen, feeling like a queen, and saying, I deserve much more than I have, and I'm gonna have it with the Eight of Wands that I'm gonna cast after the 20th of February, when all the planets are reborn. I think it's gonna be like a bomb exploding. When one planet is reborn, it is quite important, you know, when Venus is reborn after being invisible, and in the shadow of the sun. There are lots of predictions made, but here not only Venus but a ton of other planets would be reborn. And as a general closure, don't forget that Mercury is retrograding till the end of February, so be careful with all things mercurial. It's more time to spend with yourself. It is, you see, it got really dark because I'm re-recording. I'm recording already for 5 hours, so I'm gonna go and take some rest, as was just advised to everyone in the reading. And I'll talk to you soon at the end of the month with the full moon in Virgo. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. And this is going to be a beautiful moon, very mystical, very magical. I don't know, I just feel it, that it's absolutely magical, that things are changing, that something new is on the way. So it's exciting. Let's see together how it's gonna be, and I leave you with that, my darlings. Bye, my loves.